Yeah, hi, I'm Michael Barnett, and I directed Change the Game.
My name is Alex Schmitter. I'm an executive producer on Changing the Game, and I am also the associate director of transgender representation at GLAD AA.
Hi, I'm Sarah Rose Huckman, and I'm one of the athletes in the documentary.
I'm Jennifer Huckman, the proudest mom in the world.
I'm Claire Tucker. I produce the film.
Thank you all for being here. And so I just want to jump right into it. Michael, can you tell me what was the inspiration for this film?
Yeah. Bear with me here on this, guys. I am going to say one thing really quick. I've been working with Claire for nearly a decade now. She had a baby a week ago. And she was texting me after she had the kid, before she fell asleep, working. I was like, come on, go to sleep. Anyway, so yeah. Okay, let's get through this one. So a couple of years ago, oh, this is gonna be tough. Okay. One of my best friends in the world, who's sitting here, if you see him, he's my resilient dude, and he came to me, and one of his children was going through the beginning of their transition, and it was very early, and I realized pretty quickly that not only did I know how to not necessarily be I'll get through it, and then it'll be smooth sailing, I promise. Not only did I not know how to be the ally and the advocate that he needs in the community, I didn't even really know what to say. So, what I did from there was, without the intention of making the film, I kind of went to work and just doing what I do when I don't understand something. I just kind of did a deep dive, and we discovered Mac's story, and I talked to Claire about it, and I was like, listen, we don't know anything about this, but if we don't, I think a lot of people don't, and I think maybe before we reach out to Mac, we should probably reach out to someone in the community first, and Elisa, who's also here, one of the other producers on the film, introduced us to Alex here, who was working at GLAD, and we kind of cold called him. And started asking some pretty tough questions, like, should we make this film? Should it be made by me? Is there space for it? And then you can start.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with each other for 2.5 years now. And when they came to us, or when they came to me, I was a little hesitant because this is a very vulnerable community of people. This is trans kids who are living in a very unfriendly, that's a nice word, a very unfriendly culture. And as soon as I met both of them, I knew that not only did they have the intentions, but they were willing to do the work. And this film is a result of 2.5 years of difficult conversations and back and forth and a lot of trust in each other. And all of what we were bringing to the table so that we could ultimately give these young people, these amazing young people, their stories back. When so often they're hijacked by media, especially if they're winning in sports. And so I always say, nothing about us without us. And this film is a true testament to that. And I hope that filmmakers who are making films about underrepresented communities understand that those people should be involved in every part of the production of that process.
I mean, there's been a lot of documentaries and narratives sort of exploring transgender stories and trying to take on a lot of the challenges our society is having with transgender stories in our narratives. And sports is a really interesting lens to sort of look at it through that. Like, where did that come from? Why did you choose sports to do this exploration?
Yeah, I think whenever I've been making films for some years now, and I think whenever I find a story that I'm kind of locking into, or when they find me, typically, this kind of how these stories work. I'm always looking for, I kind of call it like a Trojan horse. Like, what's an entry point, right? Like, what's an access point that people can sort of come to who wouldn't normally come to this story? Because I don't want to preach to the choir. I don't want to make something in a vacuum bubble, right? I want to make something that everybody can come to and learn something, change a little bit. And I thought sports was an incredible institution to go kind of deconstruct, because it's incredibly rigid, it's incredibly binary. And I think, when we start to unpack some of that, right, especially within the context of the trans community, it's very clear to me as a filmmaker, and after making this film, how you should feel. But I think it's a good way for people who, don't know how they should feel to just unpack a little bit and explore and have a conversation.
You get to know these kids. Because I think what gets lost so much is these conversations about fairness and lofty ideas about physiology, but really what it comes down to is kids need to be kids, except that you're not really a kid. You're much wiser and more intelligent than I am. So, but people need to be people, and at the base level, inclusion just needs to be the standard.
Well, sir, I guess it would be great to ask you, I mean, what was this like for you, this journey of, deciding to tell your story and kind of going through what you went through in terms of not only on the athletic, on the skis, but in the courtroom, in legislation, and throughout schools. You've really done a lot. So what was it like, to sort of bring your journey to the forefront in this project?
It was amazing, honestly. It was like definitely life-changing. Being able to see myself as like, at first, I guess, like, quote unquote, like the normal, like, teenage person, and then kind of blossoming into this person that I never really expected it to happen. And it's just like really been amazing seeing where I've gone with athletics, and not only athletics, but also like politics, and just like figuring out who I am as like a person. It's just been really amazing seeing like where I've gone.
And how would you say that participating in athletics has helped shape you as the person you are today?
I've said this a lot to like my friends who have questions like what you just asked. I don't think I would be here if it was for athletics. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have cross country running, cross country skiing, alpine skiing, track, and all the things that I do. It's definitely something that like keeps my mind off of the negative parts of my life, really. So having sports in my life really kept me in check.
And something that was interesting to see as we watched your story and the other athletes' stories, just what that impact on their lives were through their participation and the hardships that were coming away from participating. And I appreciated that it was a diverse representation of the athletes based on where they were location-wise and the states and the rules that they had in the book, and just who they were as people. How did you go about finding the athlete that you studied and stuff?
Yeah, super long journey. It took about a year, really, before we started filming. Alex had mentioned, and he was a huge part of this. It wasn't exactly one thing that we did, right? We found Mac's story. We knew we wanted 3 stories. We ended up shooting 7 stories. The first person we actually started filming with broke his back at his first gym meet. So sadly, he didn't make the cut. He's okay though. He's an extraordinary kid. And his mother started this incredible coalition and online community of parents of trans athletes all over the country, and she introduced us to Jen and Sarah, and I flew out to New Hampshire and met with them. with no cameras first and just, started a conversation with them. And we had people in the film who, Claire and Alex and I had long conversations about who we thought maybe were too sensitive to be in the film, and we might put them in a more vulnerable position by leaving them in the movie. Now, these are really tough conversations to have internally, they're tough conversations to have with these kids, and they continue to be tough. But we thought we found kids who had the courage, the resiliency to shine a light, and I hope that light has only empowered them. But that's for you to say, not me.
Whoa. I'm space off it for a second. I feel like this definitely has empowered me as a person. It definitely has opened my eyes to so much more than I would expect. It's just been an amazing journey, and I'm grateful to be a part of something that's so life-changing to not only me, but to other trans teens out in the world.
And I would say not just trans teens, because as a transgender man myself, no, but I tell Sarah, and I've said this before, if a film like this had existed when I was younger, it would have been so much easier to be able to have people to look up to, and to have families who were modeling that love and acceptance that I think, no matter across the movie, no matter how imperfect that trying and that loving is, it's still there. And I think a lot of people need to see that, because as Grandma Nancy says, you don't have to get it, you just have to go with it.
I'm glad that you brought that up. I mean, we have Jen here, and just you and Tom's unwavering support, throughout was something that really stood out to me in the film. Can you talk to us a little bit about where you draw your strength as a parent to sort of deal with this sometimes in an isolated way when you're the only person in your community, maybe, who has a trans child?
Sure, as you saw, we live in very rural New Hampshire. But I think for both Tom and I, I'm a parent through both birth and adoption. And through both of those times of expecting and waiting for a child to join our family, I didn't care whether it was a boy or a girl or who this person was. I just wanted a happy, healthy child. And I had 3 boys, and now I have 2 boys and a beautiful, courageous daughter. And I couldn't be happier. And I hope that the parents all of you, whenever a child has joined your family or your circle of friends, all you ever wanted was a happy, healthy child. And that's what matters. And I have a happy, healthy, thriving young adult. And if love wins, that's what matters.
If there's so much to take away from the film, from everybody's individual story, but is there anything that, as you participated in the film and as more, sort of came out and you divulged, was there anything in particular that everyone in the panel might have hoped that someone would take away from this film as you worked on it?
Yeah, I hope that people who wouldn't normally see Sarah and Mac and Andrea and Terry see them, and I hope that the film's a beacon. We set out to make something that was hopeful, and a film that was about love and support, and I hope that's contagious.
As someone who works at LAD and is very interested in media representation, and not only what the representation is on the screen, but what it is behind the scenes, I hope that this film is a model for filmmakers, again, to include us in every part of the process. And in addition, it's something like only 20% of people say they personally know someone who's transgender. When they see this film, they now know at least 4. And that's powerful, because we're no longer abstract, and as you said, what the media has made us out to be for 100+ years, just monsters. And we are the very opposite of that. And I'm just so inspired by these young people. I wish I had their courage when I was younger, and I draw from their courage now to continue on.
I hope from this film that people of all gender, of all race, of all sexuality know that people should be treated equal no matter what is going on in their lives. I look at my friend group and my friends today and I see so much diversity and so much acceptance. And then I go and I look at other people and I hear all these horrible stories of like how friends are turning on friends, how families are turning on families because one single person is different. And to me that's heartbreaking and it's horrible. And I feel like through this film we can really change the world for people who are minorities, and I just hope people are treated or shown more equally and given the rights that they deserve.
Yeah, I hope that when people see this film, they realize that this is not a political issue, that this is a humanitarian issue, and kind of take it from there.
I hope that all families who see this film see how vitally important love and acceptance is. And if it's hard, we work through it. But we love your child.
And with that, what's next for this film? What do you hope is next for this film?
You shall see. Yeah, we finished the film a couple months ago. It's in our agents' hands, and they're taking it out in the world. We shall see. Check back in. Alex can tell you where to follow it all here.
I can. We are active on all social media. It's me. Changing Game Doc. Follow us. We are going to be going to a lot of festivals across the country. We keep up to date with all of what Sarah, Mac, Andrea, and Terry are doing on those pages. And speaking of, at most of our screenings, when we don't have everyone here who we would have loved to have here, I asked if the audience, if all of you would just like put your hands together and I'm gonna say their names and then like if you clap or cheer or get excited, because we miss them. So this is for Andrea, Terry, Mac, and
Hey, I like that right there. Everybody. All right, yes, I mean, you've seen this, a big impacted you. Please, 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 please vote for this film. You have a little piece of paper, vote. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter.
Changing Game Doc.
Yeah.
Doc. So vote, please. Tell people about the film. Is there anything else you guys want to share or ask? Yes.
Can I share my Instagram handle for y'all? Okay, so that's the most ironic thing ever. Okay, so it's @SarahRose_trans. Yeah,
All right, well, that's it. Vote, please.